Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. I'm down here in Round Rock, Texas, a place called the Kalahari Resort for this 3-day workshop. The first sessions were tonight. So far so good. I wanted to talk to you tonight about pushing through the right way. Okay? So, it's been a long day. Woke up at 5:30 this morning. So I get ready, get down to the airport, catch the flight delays, finally got here, long Uber ride, got here, rushed to registration, and then an evening session of a few hours. So kind of beat, but I just wanted to get this video done for you. I'm going to be asleep in about 30 minutes. So, pushing through, the right way. You know, there's a lot of people that think, let me push through, let me push through, let me push through. And if we're doing that from a place of fear, that can sometimes backfire on us, you know. And comment below if you've ever pushed through, but you were scared and it backfired and symptoms got worse. And then you created even more fear about doing that again. I know that's very common in the fatigue world. And you know, people are like, well, I did too much and I was floored for a week. Like I just had no energy, couldn't do anything. So the concept of pushing through, ignoring the symptom and pushing through, keep going no matter what. There's a right way and a wrong way. And it all centers around one word: fear. If you can expose yourself to that activity from a place of safety, not being concerned, it can be a very good, positive learning experience for the brain to go, hey, they just did a lot more than they usually did, and they weren't afraid. They weren't afraid. And that can be a very good corrective learning experience for the brain. Now, again, if you try to expand your activities, do more and more, but you're coming at it from a place of fear, really scared going into it, that is often why the symptoms can escalate, right? And if they escalate, that creates more fear, which creates more reluctance for you to try again. So first and foremost, I never tell people, ignore your pain, just push through, right? Because that's just gonna create more fear. And usually when you try to ignore something, it's because you're trying to make believe it's not there and get away from it. That's resistance, and that generally doesn't work. I have never suggested we ignore our pain. A lot of people misinterpret indifference to ignore. Indifference means to show little or no care, which is exactly what I'm talking about here. Pushing through the right way is saying, I'm going to do more today. And if symptoms come around, I'm not going to be concerned. I'm not going to feed it with fear in advance, during, or after, regardless of what happens with symptoms, right? Now, is this difficult? Heck yes. It's extremely difficult. Nobody said this stuff was easy, but it works. Now, people will say, but I am afraid. How can I not be afraid? Well, it's a decision you can make to no longer feed the fear. In other words, yes, there's some fear there. Who wouldn't be? And I get that it's perfectly normal and natural to have fear of the symptoms or them getting worse and what that may mean about, you know, your future. But oftentimes we are fueling that fear, fueling the symptoms with more thinking about the symptoms and the thinking of what it means if I don't get rid of this, and I really need to get rid of this within X amount of time, because if I don't, I'm going to be, you know, X, Y, and Z. The suffering comes from the thinking, truthfully. Because we're not thinking all that stuff. We're not going to be suffering as much. Yes, we may have the physical sensation. And I know for very high symptoms, those sensations can be very challenging. But generally, it's all made worse by a lot of thinking about it and what it means and what our future is going to be like, right? So pushing through the right way is doing it with little to no concern, as little fear as possible, the ability to calmly reassure ourselves if the symptoms start going up. Because if symptoms start going up and we panic, they're not coming down anytime soon. We're literally saying, oh, look, there's a little fire that started. Let me put it out with a can of gasoline, right? So if you start engaging in more activities and the symptoms start climbing a little bit, calmly reassure yourself. Say, hey, brain, I'm not doing anything dangerous, not doing anything crazy. I'm just out doing X, Y, and Z. Or I'm taking a little bit longer walk, or I am doing whatever. And if any symptom changes happen, respond as calmly as possible so you can show your brain that this is a corrective opportunity and you're not concerned. And if you're not fueling the fear, then things can either not continue to get worse, or in many cases can start to come back down because you're not fueling it with fear. So pushing through the right way is as little fear as possible. Now I've got a video called 6 Steps to Resuming Activity. It's kind of a variation of Alan Gordon's pain reprocessing therapy, where we visualize. Well, we decide what we want to do. We visualize ourselves doing it, visualizing a positive outcome. And don't go running out the door and saying, I'm going to go run 5 miles if you can't even visualize yourself walking across the living room without pain, right? That might be too quickly. And if you go running out the door and saying, I'm going to jog down the street, and you're terrified, it might not be that good of an experience, and can create what's, like a setback, creating more fear. So visualize a positive outcome of you doing the thing you want. And if when you visualize it, you get that anxious, fearful feeling, keep practicing until you can visualize it without the anxiety, without the fear. And then you can start doing the graded exposure, a little bit at a time. If you have trouble walking across the living room, start there. Don't go out for a 2-mile walk, right? That's too much too fast. If you've got fatigue, you can absolutely do too much too fast, especially if there's a lot of underlying fear of doing too much. And that whole doing too much is really based on the fact that I've got something wrong with me, right? Fatigue, chronic fatigue, ME. It's all created based on the brain's perception of danger, right? The brain creates fatigue, in my opinion, as a way of saying, life's too intense, go rest, take a nap, right? And I know that's an oversimplification. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of biological, chemical, hormonal changes that happen as a result of this. But, I've seen plenty of clients where their fatigue lifts very quickly when they get the right mindset shift and the fear dissipates. So I don't believe CFS ME is an actual physiological problem. I think it is all still created by the brain perceiving danger. Little side note on fatigue, because somebody was just, commenting on one of my videos about fatigue. And should I just ignore and push through? Which kind of inspired this talk here. So pushing through the right way is with as little to no concern as possible. If symptoms jump up, don't fuel the symptoms with more fear. Calm them with a little bit of reassurance. Put a smile on your face and say, I know exactly what's happening and I'm not concerned by it because I know with certainty that there's nothing wrong with my body, which means I know, even though I'm getting the sensations, it is not harming me in any way. It's not comfortable, but it is not harming me. So that's doing it the right way. The wrong way would be deciding I'm going to ignore the pain, I'm going to push through, and I'm just going to go do a whole bunch of stuff. And no matter how bad it hurts, I'm just going to keep pushing through. And you're doing that from a standpoint of, I'm terrified, but I think if I push through, I'm going to convince my brain that I'm okay. And did a video not that long ago about brute force versus gradual or something like that. But if you search my YouTube channel for the word brute force, it's along the lines of what I'm talking about here. Deciding you're going to run, even with a 10 out of 10 pain, if you're terrified of that, then it's probably not going to work so well. If you can do that without the fear, good on you. But not that many people can. So, pushing through the right way is without fear. Pushing through the wrong way is doing it with a lot of fear. One's going to, without the fear, could be a really good experience because you're going to expand your capabilities and expand your activity levels, whereas doing it with fear, panic, terror, oh no, I've overdone it, that's a setback, and it's going to make you more reluctant to try again. So I just really wanted to frame this whole concept of pushing through. I don't even like those words because pushing through seems like a battle. Let me gradually expand my activities with grace, ease, a smile on my face, and confidence. And it's tough to have confidence and fear at the same time. Not impossible, but for the most part, if you're confident, you're smiling, and you know that you're doing the right thing, inevitably you're going to move in the right direction. So, I'm going to wrap this one up. Got to upload this, and then it's time for me to hit the sack. So, hope everybody's doing well. I guess we will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. And take a look at the nice zebra picture. Take care, everybody.